going on, Orange Nation? This is Neil Adler with another episode of Syracuse Central on the Fan Arts Network. I am coming to you live from Nashville, Tennessee. Hopefully, you can hear me okay. Got my headphones on. Hope everyone had a great holiday weekend. Mine was dope. Got to hang out with my son and his cousins. It was not super enjoyable on the Syracuse basketball or football fronts. We're going to get into football today and then focus on basketball later this week. Um, what can I say? Syracuse's dismal 2025 season in football ended on a less than positive note. I honestly thought they were going to win that game against Boston College at home. I don't know why. I mean, they weren't favored. They lost. They had lost seven in a row. It just felt like they were going to go out with some positivity, some momentum to start it looking at 2026. Obviously the offseason coming up, the transfer portal, et cetera. It was just brutal. And Boston College came into this game with one win on the season, no ACC wins, and they beat Syracuse 34 to 12. 34 to 12. I mean, it's just I don't even know what to say. It just was such a. On the one hand, Syracuse actually ran the ball pretty well. Joe Filardi, the freshman walk-on in football, lacrosse star on scholarship. Actually, I don't know if he's a lacrosse star yet because he hasn't played for Syracuse men's lacrosse, but highly touted, highly ranked player. He threw, let me make sure I get the stats right here, 10 of 18 for 65 yards. They just have they had, ever since Steve Angeli went down, they just have no confidence in their passing game. Fran Brown, after going 10 and 3 season ago, was ranked number 20 in the country. Then the year after a bowl win, they go 3 and 0. And certainly Steve Angeli going down in the fourth game when the Syracuse beat Clemson, that was huge because the drop off in QB play was just so massive after we went down. But there was plenty of other stuff going on. It just is a really, I still think the future is bright under Fran Brown on the Hill, but it was just a really, really, it was just tough to watch. And I don't, I always cheer on my boys and or any Syracuse teams, boys and girls. That's my alma mater. But you lose 34 to 12 to a team that came into the game 1-10 overall. I mean, that's just home. It's senior night. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Um, I could sit here and spout off a bunch of stats, but they got their butt kicked. Syracuse actually did run the ball pretty well, so that was encouraging. But Boston College almost had nearly 300 yards passing, and Syracuse had 65. They're not going to win games if they don't have a balanced attack. And for a lot of the season, even when the passing game struggled, the running game struggled as well. And I think a lot of that has to do with teams stacking the box and expecting them to run. Our offensive line wasn't great. I don't think any of the running backs were really wow. It was just subpar all around. And the defense struggled too. And um, Boston College had over 430 yards. A team that was 1-10 coming in this game, 400 plus yards total offense on the road. So look, I don't want to get into the just go over and over again how bad a loss was or the season was. Let's move on. But it was unfortunate. You always want to see the seniors go out with it. That was not even close. So the season's in the books, and I think most Syracuse fans anticipated that this season was not going to be a replication, a duplication, whatever of last year. Last year they were 10 and 3. They had Paul McCord, they had some other key transfers into the program. They had a more favorable schedule this year. Steve Angeli looks good. Tough schedule, young roster, not making excuses, but just the writing's on the wall for them not to get 10. But after that neutral site loss to Tennessee to start 2025, they won 3 in a row, and they beat Clemson on the road. Even though Clemson ended up at 7-5 after turning it on in the last part of the season. So you go 3-1, and Jelly was leading the country in passing yards. I still didn't think they were going to go 10-2 in the regular season, 9-3 in the regular season, maybe not even 8-4. But Angeli goes down, and everything just is just total shit afterwards. Excuse my French. And you know, Fran Brown has said a couple times recently that they're gonna make sure that they get backup quarterbacks because it is the most important position in just for regular sports, pretty much, at least team sports. But make sure those backups are ready to roll in case after and Jelly goes down again. There was just such a huge drop off, and it was ridiculous. And I didn't agree with the quarterback decisions. So you play Ricky Collins for 3 games, and then already starts over. And then why isn't Lee Clowney getting more chances? And I just for me, I'll be curious if any of the quarterbacks on the roster right now end up staying other than Steve Mitchell. Ricky Collins, there's no way he's going. Velarde, I mean, he's a scholarship lacrosse player, so he's plays well in lacrosse and two and he's gone. Like they stay at Syracuse, you never know. But Luke Carney, but is he going to come back? Bellin, Jabari Williams, and I don't want to sit here and pretend I know a lot of behind the scenes stuff with some of these guys. Maybe I have information here or information there, but in terms of these quarterbacks, just based on what Fran said not too long ago, we said we're going to go get two more quarterbacks out of the portal, higher quality, so to speak, along with Angeli and Zaid Lott, the freshman, incoming freshman from Charlotte, North Carolina. So is he, in essence, is that indicating? And I talked about this, I think, on Friday on Syracuse Central. Is that indicating that um, he's like telling all these other Jews that they got to go? We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I was hoping even, when Angeli went down and they're 3-1, like win a couple more games, maybe get to a bowl, go 5-7, go 6-6, don't lose 8-0. I mean, just like such a ugh, terrible taste in the mouth. And I get it. It was tough to recover from, and they had a lot of tough games, especially on the road. But 3-9, really? I mean, Babers had some better seasons than that. And I'll be interested to see if what kind of staff members are. I mean, because Fran Brown did say that he's going to have to think long and hard about potential changes. So the assistant coach is going to get demoted or shifted around or fired. We'll see. The defense was not good. The offense was spotty, and they got a lot of work to do. But I still think, like I said earlier, I think the future on the hill looks bright. Fran Brown's a great recruiter. Hopefully, he will be a great head coach in 2026. Personally, no disrespect to the man, and I think he's a really good human being. I think he made some bad decisions at quarterback in particular. And I know it's a team sport, and you've got the offensive coordinator, quarterback's coach, and others, but ultimately the buck stops with Fran Brown. And I don't like how and he's been honest about things that need to be improved. So, look, the season's over. It was a bust. It was really unfortunate. It was depressing, if I'm being honest with you. It was like the exact opposite of last year. It was, they lost for the games last year, including the Stanford team, but it was just so exciting. And this year, it just was brutal. But love my boys. We'll keep it my boys. What are your drop me some comments? And by the way, if you feel so inclined, please subscribe to Syracuse Central. We focus on football, basketball, and recruiting in both sports. And if you feel so inclined, hit that subscribe button. I should mention it earlier. Um, but drop me some comments. Let me know about the season, and let's keep it not politically correct. Let's keep it positive, can we? I mean, I know there's not a lot to work off of, but like, what were your thoughts on the season? What what do you think, other than quarterback needs to be improved upon? Just give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts. So speaking of next year, we've gotten word in recent weeks about the key guys coming back, and then some guys recent days will be coming back, and it's important. The age of the transfer portal and all that stuff. So a couple guys that confirmed, I think it was to Syracuse.com, posted freshman linebacker Antoine Delorier, redshirt sophomore cornerback, Chris Beal, and sophomore, actually, it's his sophomore. Let's see, the bunch of freshmen. Sorry, Jamie Tremble, who was recruited as he's a sophomore. He was recruited as a tight end. He was a four-star prospect. I think in one of the recruiting sources, he was the highest ranked Syracuse commit in his class in the 2024 class. But Tremble, Delarier, and Chris Beal all coming back. And that's key. And earlier, the last few weeks, we heard from Demetri Simeon Jr., the freshman cornerback slash wide receiver, who will probably get freshman All-American honors. He's been great. He's coming back. Stephen Jelly obviously is coming back. Junior wide receiver Gerald Gill Jr. I said he's coming back. Sophomore running back Steve Willis all coming back. So let's you want to have in the era of red share and schools paying players directly. It's there's different components. There's you want to retain a few guys from the existing season. You go into the transfer portal, you get some new guys. Some guys in the roster are going to go into the transfer portal and go elsewhere. And then obviously at the prep level, high school. And getting guys like Delarier and Samuel, Chris Peel, Willis, obviously and Joey, Demetri Jr. for sure. Getting those guys back and then supplementing that with guys that they'll get out of the portal. And, they didn't do as much portal or didn't do as great with the portal recruiting last offseason as they did in 2024, which was Fred Brown was brought in December 2020, early December 2023, and that was when we crushed it in the portal, actually before with Fidel Davis, etc. So they need to do better in the portal. But getting those key guys back, that's important. And I think it speaks to these guys talking about Dart, talking about the culture. Of course, they're all pissed off and bummed about how the season went, but they believe in this program, and the future of this program. To me, that says a lot. That says a lot. So, speaking of, we'll end here. Speaking of prep recruiting, just a heads up, and we'll talk about, obviously talk about the early signing period for 2026 prospect seniors is this week. I believe it's from Wednesday to Friday, the third day of December. I believe it's already December. Good Lord. Um, we'll see. Syracuse right now has 27 guys in their classes, number 26 overall, according to 24/7 Sports Composite, which, as I've said multiple times, will be the highest ranked class for Syracuse in the modern recruiting rankings over how that's the last years. So, my point here is that I don't see a lot of guys that are verbally committed to Syracuse flipping. Five-star Calvin Russell, the wide receiver from Miami Northwestern, he's locked in. Some other 4 stars, Isaiah Haskell, the Philadelphia market, St. Joe's Prep. There's Hughes, plays with Calvin Russell, of course, will be got a couple other 4 stars from Florida and elsewhere, and could 1 or 2 of them flip elsewhere. I mean, there was talk about Cameron Wilson possibly, but he's locked in. He's at Miami Southridge, flipped our edge. I personally think they're going to sign all the guys, the highest rated guys, if anything. A couple of guys last Sunday decommitted. And I think I don't know this for sure, but I think they're returning their scholarships. And that happens especially when you're going to look more at the portal. So maybe a couple of guys that could happen. It just sucks for them because it's so late in the cycle. But anyway, I don't expect a lot of noise one way or the other. I know Syracuse had a bunch of visitors on campus for the BC game and producing at the JUCO level and elsewhere. So, I guess they could get some more commits, but they obviously got to keep in mind there's, the roster limits, attorneys, guys from the portal coming in. But again, I think the future looks bright on the hill. I think this is going will be a tremendous high school class. Um, let's rock and roll. Let's rock and roll. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Syracuse Central on the Fan Action Network. I'm Neil Adler coming to you live from Nashville this time around. You have a great rest of your Monday, friends. As I've said in the past many times, I appreciate your support. Drop me comments about what you like and what you don't like and what you want to hear about. Um, and if you're so inclined, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll definitely get more into Syracuse basketball later in the week. Syracuse men's basketball plays Tennessee at the Dome in the ACC SEC Challenge on Tuesday night. I did want to get into some football stuff on Monday. So have a great rest of your Monday. If you don't have a case of the Mondays, we'll talk to you later. Appreciate it. Take care.